Hi, my name is Will Cullen. I'm with Kinetic Quest, and we're once again here with the most popular boy, Kirby the Blue Healer. If you haven't done so yet, please go to www.kineticquest.ca and claim your free movement quest. I would love to see you adventuring with yourself and learning through movement, just like Kirby is doing here. So, Kirby, we finally got him onto his side now, which means that we can look a little bit at his shoulder mobility. So, what I can do is I can support underneath his elbow and behind his shoulder, and I can look at the way in which his arm and his elbow know his shoulder. And again, just like with the spine, if you've seen that video yet, you have to be super, super gentle, or they're not going to tolerate it. I'm going to support his paw fully on top of my arm, and it's just the first beginnings of the movement, backward and into the spine. And also, checking to see, because this joint is somewhat circular, is there an availability for the elbow to lift up and outward, for the shoulder to come a little bit up towards the breastbone? Is there an availability for the elbow to roll downward, to come away from the breastbone, away from the shoulder blade and down? And to what extent are little circles maybe possible? You can do this by analyzing the relationship of the arm and the shoulder to the spine. You can also do it by analyzing a little bit the relationship of the arm and the shoulder to the sternum and the breastbone and the ribs at the front of them. To begin to assess, what is the ability for those two shoulder blades to turn? What is the availability for the sternum to move a little bit? Does that change? We finally got him flopped onto his left side as well, through a series of movements. Means that I can also look at how his ribs turn to the left. Might help him find a different way to access lying on his left and being long on his left, which might eventually lead to a different way of being on his right and being long on his right. I'm going to do the same thing down here at the hips and the pelvis. So I can look at his knee and his hip, pelvis, and turn with his spine, with his tail, which is of course part of his spine. And how the flank can push into the upper part of the pelvis. How that whole side can be involved with the spine. From there, there's two things we can do. We can look at getting Kirby's hips and his shoulders to move congruently, like you're doing a barrel roll, and see how he engages with that kind of barrel roll movement. Because it's harder to get his hips and his shoulders directly on top of each other, than it is with a human client. I do a bit more support through and under the sternum than I would with a human client. Human client, I just go right on top of their shoulders and hips and roll them that way. That doesn't have initially as much meaning for him, although you can see that it does now. The other thing I can do is I can work them slightly in opposition. So I could move the hip forward a bit and the shoulder back, and then flank back, shoulder forward, which creates something similar to what he is doing in walking. This should allow him to have a greater sensation of how he's using each side through the spine, and a greater sensation of how each side can work diagonally across him. Now, if I had the opportunity, I would do this on the other side with Kerbo, but for Kirby, I have to take the opportunities that he gives me to work on his side because he doesn't spend a lot of time here unless he's on the sofa. The sofa is not the most ideal place to work because the ground doesn't give him enough feedback. I think that's probably enough for him today. If you enjoyed this, please follow me on Facebook, subscribe to me on YouTube, do everything you can to help the internet find me. And please join a free movement class, join us over Zoom. You can join a class from anywhere. I would love to see you learning and growing just like Kirby here. Thank you.